What's up, everyone? Welcome to a new episode of Moving with Life. This is my first episode as a civilian. What brought me back to recording this episode is something that came up just recently, in the past, let's say, 24 hours or so. And it's just a question that came up, and it's kind of been stuck with me. And there was a conversation that was had, but I needed to figure out a way to also transition what I was doing previously. And if you follow me on social media, I've posted a little more now than I was when I was active duty military. And so I felt like I needed to find a way to transition even this, because again, it's like I said an episode or two ago, which is, it's been a little while now, but where I still have the bug. And right now is one of those moments that I have that bug of have a, I guess you could say a conversation, but at the same time, it's me talking to you and giving my perspective on interactions that I've had or interactions that have stuck with me. And so I was active duty Navy for 6 years, just completed 6 years, and I got to be a hospital corpsman. If you don't know what a hospital corpsman is, you can go look that up. I was fortunate enough to work in a hospital, but then also be a part of a Marine Corps unit and deploy via the Marine Corps unit. And obviously, right now, there's so much turmoil going on. So even out there where there are deployed Marines, there are deployed sailors as well. And most of them are corpsmen. There's different jobs, different occupancies that also allow a sailor to work with a Marine Corps unit. But my experience was medical and being a corpsman in the platoon. I got to experience COVID. I got to experience an emergency room. I got to experience a trauma center. Then I got to transition to a platoon. So running with a rifle platoon. Again, I guess I could deep dive into that, but I can leave it up to my friends who are still out there, doing their thing. But what brought me here today was this question that was posed to me. And I have posted a little more recently, just like my personal life, if you follow me on social media. Primarily Instagram, because I still like pictures, I still like video. And so I've posted a couple of videos, a couple of like collages of pictures as well. And I don't know how, I'm trying to word this thoughtfully, but also I like to be very simple and kind of to the point. And so one of the things I've taken on, I don't even want to put a timeline to it, but what I have taken responsibility for is a child. And I've been fortunate enough to be allowed to help parent a child, and now it's funny because I feel like it's coming up on my YouTube channel, my YouTube like algorithm, so that being a girl dad and different other men's experiences with being that, and now I found myself in the same situation, but also with that, trying to get myself away from the military mindset and things need to be squared this way in this fashion. And I still feel like I implement a lot of that, but at the same time, I don't want to, like other things. When I was a musician, I never wanted my job, my career choice in that moment, that time, to dictate me as a person. I for some reason, there's always been something in me that I said, yes, I was a guitar player. Yes, I played music and I did all that. And when I was in the military, it's like, yes, I did that as a job, and I learned a lot, and I was very fortunate to do what I did, and it's helped me now want to stay in the medical field, just not in a uniform. All that to bring up the point of this episode, which is the question that was posed to me recently was, I can't remember if it was a question or if it was a statement, but the question that was given to me was, you want to change my life, or how do you want to change my life? Something to that effect. And it made me think, I'm like, huh, like this child's noticed these things. And I've only been home for, I don't know, 70, 80 days. But I've hit the ground running at the same time. That was said to me or asked to me. And so I gave the question back. I said, how have I wanted to change your life? You know, what are the things that you noticed that I've wanted to implement in your life? And while I was having this conversation in my head, I was like, oh man, like she's watching me. She's watching. And I had already said this in previous conversations that I noticed she was observing everything, and even when she's not engaging with me or her mom or watching TV or her, you know, the iPad or whatever. But I noticed her, like she had this, I wouldn't say it's a gaze, but she's looking past you in these times, in the moments that I'm talking about, of like the gears are turning, and she's whatever she's talking about in her, whatever she's contemplating or thinking about, whatever has got her attention. It's like there's something going on here, and this question kind of threw me back to these past 70, 80 days of me being home and being a part of Little League coaching for her team, and wanting her to eat more meals than snacks. I mean, I understand, and obviously we were all kids too, right? But it's like, well, I want her to get strong. I want her to be confident. I want to balance like good dopamine essentially with things that are necessary, like needs versus wants. I guess that's a better way to put it. Needs versus wants. And I guess for me, I could say it's funny because it's made me think about when I would have conversations with my Marines. A lot of them now, you know, some of my better friends that I've developed a relationship with, that I still keep in contact with now today. Sailors as well. But given that I joined at a later age, and as I developed these relationships, we're all getting older, right? But my point is, a lot of my buddies, you know, they're 10 years younger than me, 11 years younger than me, you know, and not all of them, but a chunk of them, we'll say. And given the age gap, it's like, oh, like I know you all have a vision for your life, but I will try to be a positive influence to help guide you and let you understand, like, hey, like you can make decisions. Like, yes, in the military, we get given orders, we get given direction, but I will say all the remarkable things, even 6 years later, all the remarkable things came from my leaders that I had that cared, and they wanted to at least leave you with an ounce of wisdom so that you could take forward with you. And this conversation that I just had made me think about all that. And so back to this conversation, I said, well, how do you think I want to change your life? How do you think I've changed your life? She said, well, you want me to eat more meals? You want me to finish my food on my plate? I said, yes, I do. And then she said, you want me to snack less? I said, yes. I'm like, snacking's fine. I snack too. Like, I'm not saying not to. I just want you to have good portions of food. Because she has certain athletic abilities already, even though she's young. And so I just want to impact that. I want to help her, whether she knows it or not right now, but I want to implement certain things that allow her to make sure her, you know, she's nutritioned well to be able to perform well. And I said, what else? And she's like, well, you want me to drink water? You want me to drink more water? I said, yeah, water is a big foundation. I mean, I've had previous episodes about health and nutrition, and even my older episodes last year with Pete and whatnot after deployment. We talked about, you know, nutrition here and there, but I said, okay. And she said, you want me to be grateful for things? And I said, and that struck me. It made me pause in my head. I wanted to continue conversing, but I was like, huh. Like I've personally never said, oh, I've never said, oh, you're unthankful or you're ungrateful or you need to learn to be what to be grateful. All I feel like me and her mom have implemented is like, someone gives her something or we give her something, it's like, go say thank you. Be, go say thank you. Tell them we appreciate the thing that you got or did for us or did for her, whatever that looks like. And at least in my memory, that's the only thing I can recall doing, is just making sure she says thank you and we say you're welcome, and those basic, we'll say basic manners, right? But anyway, so I continued, and what was one more thing? So as I could see, she was kind of running out of things to say of how I'm trying to change her life. I said, there's one more thing. I said, go back to food and eating and how I want to change your life, apparently. And she was thinking, she's like, eat more protein. And she had this smile, which she has a great smile. And if you follow me on social media, you'll have seen that by now. And I said, yes, protein, that's a big one. It's like snacks are good. I like, noodles, spaghetti, fettuccine, whatever. But if we can maximize our protein intake, helps our muscles grow, and all the health benefits we know that comes from that, especially now as so many things are changing, because obviously side note, all the deception that's been given to us via food companies and whatnot. But I don't want to get into that. This is about this conversation that I had with a child that I was like, they are observing, and making me think about my friends that are either still active duty or have gotten out and are now doing their thing in their life. And to move on to the next point, one thing that I read just recently, because the military and another law enforcement, especially now, our law enforcement having to be on their toes, and social media making society aware of all the intricacies of what is involved in being a law enforcement officer, paramedic, military. Social media brings it in. They'll post you once it gets posted, it's out there, right? Especially on Twitter, Facebook, and so on. So there's a saying, complacency kills, which it does. But one thing I read recently was, at home, complacency disconnects. And now that made me think, because it made me think about this conversation that I just had. And I said, man, it could, because if I just start snacking, or eat, let's just say eat a box of M&Ms for dinner, or only drink sugary drinks of all kinds, but never drink water, or drink water sparingly. But I think for the example, it'd be that she's gonna see that, and she's gonna start asking questions where I would even ask, well, why you? Because I've said this, and I've tried to implement this for myself. Is like, because I learned this from my leaders. I'll never ask you to do something I'm not willing to do or try, or something to that capacity. So she'll probably start asking, well, I don't see you drinking water, so why do I have to drink water? And it's true. And I say it's true. She would have every right to ask me that if that was the situation. But not only, I feel a difference when I don't drink water. Even in a morning or a lunch period or an evening, I know when I haven't drank water for a while, or anything to that effect. But in this example, could very well be, I don't need to drink water. Andy doesn't drink water. My mom doesn't drink water, so I'm not going to. But I try to make it even a subconscious, a subconscious reaction of, my first thing will always be to reach water. Now, if we're going out for dinner, yes, I'll have whatever soft drinks are available, but I try to have that with a water, even if I don't finish one or the other, but try to implement both. Going back to at home, complacency disconnects. Nothing would be even social media. And let's just say I was on my phone constantly, which I'm on my phone a lot. Recently, there's some big things that I'm planning for, so I've created Excel spreadsheets, and now I have the freaking sheets on my phone. So as I'm thinking about it, I'm doing it in real time. Same thing to me recording this episode of, if I don't do it now, I'm not gonna do it. Or if I was watching Netflix all day without giving any attention. If I was, a good thing that I'm trying to get back to, and we're trying to get back to, is reading more often. Scrolling a little bit less, reading more often, getting into books again. Because we've been saying it, but now it's like, okay, hey, we have time right now. It's the summertime, there's no school. And so for the three of us, it's like, we need to read more. How are we gonna do that? But if I was so dug into my book all day long, even that becomes a bad thing, because now I'm just not giving time to her. And that's one thing I've told to myself, I guess, and for lack of a better phrase, is there's periods where I've noticed she wants to play Uno, or wants to play dominoes, or wants some sort of like attention, and it doesn't last. And I know it's already that it doesn't last long. So I will say 10 times out of 10 right now, because I mean, there's other things coming up that are gonna take my attention away. But it's education, future, building the future. So it's like trying to balance that. But for right now, there is time. I do have the moments, because I know they're not gonna last long. Of, oh, can we play Uno? Yes, and we'll play a couple games or whatever it looks like. Play dominoes, play a couple games of dominoes. Or hey, can we do this? Or hey, let me show you something, and we'll see what's going on. And so reading, again, so retracting it one more time to at home complacency disconnects. It's like it very well could be, and all this to still tie in the fact that she's watching everything. These children, let's open up the picture. These children are watching everything. What you do, how you are, how you talk, how you converse, how you react to a problem. And I got lucky, working in a hospital. I got to work during COVID, and I was working 100-hour weeks for a little bit. We made it out. We survived. We're here, right? But just the amount of time I was having to put into the job at the time, and I was brand new into the Navy when COVID happened. So I'm learning, but also there was a lot of life things, i.e., when can I take leave to go home? When the holidays are coming up, can I go home? This person just passed away in my family. Can I go visit them? And during COVID, at the beginning at least, we didn't know what was going to happen, and so it was. That's where I started. I could implement my gap of years of like, hey, y'all, like, I'm new here too, but when it comes to like life things, like, well, I've been around just a little bit longer, and if I can help you, I will. And understanding that our job is here, and even I don't know. That's the same thing, is like being honest. It's like, even I don't know when the next time I'm gonna be able to go home and visit my family. And so not knowing when even I was gonna be able to visit. And even I remember my leaders too. Them bringing it up at the time, and I got very lucky to have some solid leadership from the get-go. And so even them, when things would happen, we were here in either my personal life, or they would say, "Hey, this is also happening for me." Them, in a sense, them being vulnerable in their own way was another little bit of wisdom that I implement even today, 6 years later, of being honest and having some candor of, hey, we don't know what this is going to look like. And that led to trying to help them grow up in a little bit in the sense of, hey, you're adults now, you need to make decisions. And sometimes those decisions have ramifications, good and bad. So what are you going to choose? And they're not all that deep necessarily. But the point I'm trying to make is, for me in the military, for us in the military, when we had more orders to go by than guidelines, you can decide how well you want to do the job, how much you're willing to give of yourself to this thing. And sometimes it was to us, and really those first 6 months of COVID time, 2020, from March 2020 till about July of 2020, our bond grew because of that time. It's like it's funny because it's kind of a cliche thing maybe that you've heard on a different page, or other veterans, now active duty members have social media and podcasts and whatnot, but it still ties into, we literally only had each other in not a communication way, but in person. And it's like, okay, we're gonna show each other our true colors over time, not knowing it in that moment, but now reflecting, now looking back. Or when someone was able to leave, or someone started a course or training or whatever, eventually us going to our departments, which I'm thankful it got to happen. I got very fortunate, because then that sent me to the emergency room, emergency room, emergency department, and then I got to experience trauma and medicine, learn about that too. But because I do have them as different things. Emergency medicine is not trauma medicine necessarily. They kind of fall under the same blanket, but they're not necessarily the same. But that turmoil, I believe, turned into this conversation of, you want to change my life. Why do you want to change my life? How do you want to change my life? And me having this, what seems maybe like a simple conversation, but for whatever reason, it just made me think. And it made me want to bring this conversation here and literally set up my gear fast, because I knew that if I created this outline and if I didn't do it right now, it's not going to get done. And then trying to segue moving with life, because for me, moving with life is still relevant. And this is just another moment that I get to bring here and share with y'all of how I've moving with my life, and how the title of the podcast as a whole is still how I see, how I try to treat the big picture of my life, and to keep moving, trying to be better inward and outward, starting inward, and then hopefully that'll translate to my relationship with this child. And again, as I said in the beginning, you know, being given that I see it as an opportunity to have a positive impact on the future. And even if it's, you know, one human being right now, you know, if that can translate and hopefully also allows her to feel more confident in asking me more questions that are sparked. Because again, I see it. It's like something's going on in your little brain, and I never want there to be. And I can, and for me, this does tie in to my experience in the past 6 years. Of like, I just bring me the question, and we'll hash it out. And I would say 9 times out of 10, I will try to have a direct answer for you. But even if I don't have a direct answer for you, we will find an answer. We will figure it out. And that goes from my experience to now me implementing this in a parenting way, to then still help me want to be better and keep myself accountable. Consistency, you know, having consistency, being consistent is a big thing. While I'd rather not call it like my next mission, because I mean, I don't like using that word anyways. It's like, okay, yes, I would say it's military lingo, but it's like, no, I'm making a choice. I'm making a conscious choice of, I have a vision, an idea of how I can parent, how I'd like to parent. And a lot of that comes from the leaders that I had. And it's like, okay, now how can I implement that for a child? All these, we'll say, principles and my more my real world experience of being in difficult situations at a time that I had to react by myself and, let's say, treat this patient that we had, or I had, to then being a part of a team and transitioning the mindset of I have to do everything with where can I be the best in this situation. Okay, I have a team of 5, I have a team of 10, I have a team of 15, I have a team of 3. Where can I be the best? How can I be the best resource and hands for this, to complete this project, to complete this thing, whatever, to complete this care? Where do I fit the best to make sure that the team succeeds? And so it's the dichotomy of team and individual. It's both things. And I'm learning that it starts then, observing how I really am, not what I say to do. And so with that, I hope I was complete in my idea and my thoughts, but moving with life. This is where we're at. And military for 6 years, I got lucky, and the things I got to learn, the tools I now have in my tool bag as a leader, yes, because I got lucky to be in certain seats at certain times to lead sailors, but also follow sailors and Marines, and follow them because I trust them. And stemming down, and I wrote this a long time ago. I remember I have it in one of my binders. It was a leadership little go by, like a leadership like little write up. And if I could have narrowed it down to one word of that, like that piece that was written, trust. That's it. Can I trust you? Can you trust me? Can she trust me? And so, again, I hope my thought was complete, and I hope that you got something from this. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Andy_MWL on Instagram. It's the primary thing I use. That, and I use Twitter, but it's more, I more read things on Twitter, and I post more on Instagram because, again, I prefer pictures and video. So until next time, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see y'all soon.